You know, you want to make sure that obviously you're not giving points to the other team by losing. So with Vortex and B, there's a bigger opportunity if there is some kind of sweep, right, for the next 3 games. But a 1-1 tie looks to be rather convincing. And I think, Whamen, we're on Kurlager. Is that right?
Kurlager, I'm so glad you are here because none of us knew how to pronounce that map. So thank you very much, Mr. Timothy. Because if it wasn't for you, sorry, Dr. Timothy, thank you for pronouncing that. I can see your education just taking Age of Empires to the next level. Appreciate it. But now, guys, I want you to look at these outcomes. English lost to China, French beat Byzantines.
What is
Um,
happening?
uh, is is French now good against Byzantines as well? Did French just become the best civilization out there? Who would have thought that we could see Byzantines going down? Now, for the next game, I think that Black Flag means it's Abbasid versus Japan on Kurlager. Did I say that right, Tim?
You did. You did say Kurlager right. I'm hearing sheep sounds in the back. I actually have information about Kurlager as we go into this. Oh, you're going to love it. You're going to love the way you look. I guarantee it. We're going to speed this up a little bit. We're going to do the best that we can to talk about it. Vortex being in the Abbasid Dynasty, playing the color blue. B, we got to be in the color orange, play against the Japanese. Oh my God, Cow, slow this down. I'm having a panic attack. But for Kurlager, just to give you a little bit of representation, Kurlager actually, from my understanding, translates to bathtub, and it means 2 rivers through which the god Thor wades. It's also an Age of Mythology map for guys who have played Age of Mythology. And you can see, based on the rivers that are here and the boats that are here, you can wade through it. You can send scouts through it and all that kind of stuff. You have some pretty close starting deer. You have small 2 stacks of berries around your start. So it looks like a lot of berries on the map, but they're just stacks of 2. And those sacred sites always placed precariously on the river to make them holy.
Now, what I really love about this map is the diversity we've seen in every single game. Now, some people go for water, some people ignore water completely, and especially in the 2v2 games, we saw a lot of diversity here, but still the same now. Both of them are going for the water, though, and Military Wing from Vortex, Cocker Township for B. Now, this is both of them getting a very aggressive play here. Vortex probably going to be able to go for that ram. As we see, he has the wood in the bank, while B, he's going to do those shinobi plays, and that is going to be quite difficult to handle. But now, Vortex already making a military ship to deal with those shinobis. If he's going to be able to get that out in time, it's going to be so key into surviving this. The shinobi not going to make it there on time. He's still all the way back in the base, so he should be able to stop any shinobis from causing too much damage. But now, Vortex already putting down a ram. I would love to see what that is going to be looking like with those army. Oh, look at that thing getting pop capped.
And, you know, it kind of goes to show, as B has a nice, really nice wall there to make sure he doesn't get hit with any shenanigans from the naval side of it. But it's really important for Vortex as the military wing to get those rams out as quickly as possible as he starts clown carring them. Because with B getting these shinobi, and he does have 2, he already has a couple more in the queue, but the battering ram keeps those archers and spearmen safe, as B obviously has the Gaia on his side with some bitey infantry. When B gets shinobi over here, if he uses them for defense, and he will, archers are going to be able to do an okay job of this, and it looks like we're going to see that right now. Spearmen are just taking kind of the brunt of this. You can see those shinobi going down rather quickly. The spearmen are doing a little do-si-do in and out, but he knows how important these archers are, right? 2 shinobi went down. He finally gets a horseman to try to help him out, but I think the damage is done on this dock. I don't think it's going to be up.
Now, it does look he does have a backup dock there at the top, but keeping in mind, those shinobi were expensive. Oh my gosh, no, it is just a little farmhouse. No second docking for him, and that means those ships are going to need a while to get back in it, unless there's by some miracle that they can drop these off at a farmhouse, which would be quite busted. But we do see the house getting destroyed. Very nicely done here by our player. Those 2 spearmen going down with the ram, but the damage is done, and really well trade, I would say, for Vortex. Now, can those fish drop off at the farmhouse?
Now, if they do drop off at the farmhouse, I'm going to lose my mind. I've never seen this before in all my hours playing AoE 4. Apparently, Cal is telling me you could do it with mills. This game is insane. All you got to... Oh, you can supervise them as China is what he's saying. Oh my God, this game's insane. I get it. You know, I'm casting in front of all of these people, but you learn something new every day.
It does, yeah, it does look like you have to manually click it, but luckily B is a player who plays at the speed of light, and he's going to be able to do that. Vortex now having to produce some units manually, yuck, as Abbasid. So this is going to slow him down a little bit. We see those Shinobis doing a little bit of damage. Those things are not actually on fire. They are just sabotage because those ninjas, they are doing some good work now. We've got an arrow ship there to make sure that the shenanigans don't happen on his side of the map. But this little sad ship is still firing away at that wall. The man is working hard, and he's getting his fish as well. A little bit of both of the worlds. I don't think Vortex is committing to too much right now. It does look like he's going to keep producing on land. No more fish or no more military ships in that queue as of yet. Now, let's see if the land pressure from B can snowball, especially now with him going into Castle Age. We can see he's floating quite a bit of food alongside that. So floating some food into the floating gate, meaning we are going to be getting a ton of those mounted samurais, unlike those Onamushas we saw earlier.
So apparently B did this against Cal in a tournament game, so that's why he knows that. Heads up for Cal, making us look good, as he always does. I kind of expected for Vortex on that dock down at the bottom to get a Springald chip to get through the walls, because you got to remember, I mean, it's just a farmhouse, right? You can't produce a navy out of it. So if you get there and you're going to be able to take down a lot of these boats, that's a lot of a food economy, especially that Japanese needs suspending that gate in midair, because you're going to get mounted samurai that cost so much food. So being able to take those down could be really, really important. But now Japanese gets that Yoroshiru smack dab into that stable, and we are going to see some mounted samurai for the second game in a row. How are you feeling about it? You like that unit?
I feel like this is probably the most busted situation that he can be in. Vortex having quite a lot of units here, sure. But dealing with the units that B is about to put on the table is going to be so hard, especially with 4 Spearmen in his arsenal. He's trying to ramp up those numbers, but we can see that Bannerman is taking quite a punch. He does look like he's going to go down, and he survives because he's made of steel. Now, these archers target firing those Shinobis is so, so important, and those mounted samurais, they're going to be doing pretty well against these archers, but the Spearmen are coming in clutch. I just hope this is going to be clutch enough for Mr. Vortex to survive this game for a little bit longer, because we can see he's trying to go for a castle of his own. You can see he's got a lot of gold, a lot on gold, and a lot on food, just trying to catch up because he knows this is just going to get worse and worse. He needs to get crossbows. He needs to find a way to deal with this. Crossbows, camels, he needs something.
Yeah, I think you would be pretty shocked to see how actually bad feudal age spearmen are against mounted samurai. And you can see that the archers are trying to get rid of the deflection and some of that armor. Also, getting that charge isn't really that good of an idea. Obviously, the spearmen are going to be cost efficient, but the fact that you're just outclassed so much with those mounted samurai, and B having the presence of mind and the micro to pull those mounted samurai back, because back home you got holy men to be able to heal them up. So if you make sure they don't die, it's essentially a free mounted samurai getting handed to you. It's so, so important. It's definitely going to keep the tempo. It's going to keep Vortex on the back foot. And now he feels like if he doesn't keep making spearmen, he's going to die.
No, what I absolutely love about this game, I want everyone to look at the villager kills. There has been 0 from either side. And this is such a stark contrast between the game we saw between Dragovan and Corvinus earlier. There was just so much action. And I think that just goes to show at different levels of play, we see different types of play styles here. And the army, the calculations are just so perfect here from Vortex. And as I say this, that Springald ship is probably going to take down a fishing ship, but the demolition ship takes him out instead.
Yeah, that was a really good heads-up play, obviously getting that demo ship out as quickly as possible. Outpost saving B just a little bit, and that mounted samurai number continues to climb. It's going to really take a lot of hits from the arrow ship. Vortex using a lot of his wood just to repair that fishing boat, kind of delay some stuff. But now for B, it's time to go on the offensive. It's time to do some damage. I think that ram got popped without getting that wood back, and that is correct. Vortex is sitting on 14 wood right now, and he's going to be able to pump these samurai numbers up. This gold is a little bit safe. He's going to be getting a Springald emplacement on that as well to kind of help him out. With no ram, this is going to be very difficult to take down this tower, because the burn armor that you get from fortification, that 5 burn armor that you get, it's not going down anytime soon.
But Vortex behind us, he did click up Eco Wing, and honestly, a very interesting choice here from Castle Age, which tells me Vortex does not mind staying here for a while. If we see him trying to go for a few TCs to catch back up to this, knowing that B has been in the lead for a little while, he hasn't gotten any relics though, which I'm very surprised about, knowing that he's got all those boys ready to carry the relics back to base. He's probably just making sure that he has everything in place. But look at those samurais pausing the idle time. The villagers are in shambles right now. Villagers from the bottom being pulled up, and the spearmen providing a little bit of protection, but they're barely taking any damage.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about keeping these samurais alive, and that's what he's doing. You know, I mean, you're looking at B trying to take down villagers and keeping these things alive and babysitting knights. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. It really isn't, especially when you have a couple groups of them. So take a moment just to show appreciation for somebody like B playing the cavalry civ like he is, because he's doing a fantastic job. Losing one or two of those mounted samurai could be devastating, but he's making sure that does not happen. Also, going with a little bit of an army composition change, he's probably allocating a little bit more to wood, because I'm seeing Yumi Arigashu again for the second time. This is wild.
Yeah, it feels like the Yumi have found their footing here quite a bit. And it's looking amazing, because it shows you that there are options with Japan. And even though they don't look that strong per se, the numbers you can pump out of them quickly is going to be detrimental. I would say, unless Vortex keeps going like he's going, because it feels like Vortex has this momentum. And now with him going Eco Wing, are we going to see him going for a few TCs behind this just to get further back in the game? And I know he's not behind in the game, just with villagers, you do want to catch up. And I feel like Vortex is a guy who wants to play it safe, but at the same time be very aggressive.
Yeah, and you know, with these samurai in the floating gate, you get a lot of that tempo just having this very powerful castle age unit. But now that your castle, with the economic wing, of course, when your castle, you're going to be able to make some castle age units. You're going to be able to stop that tempo swing, or at least it doesn't become a downward spiral to the point where maybe you do have the ability, if you want to get a town center in the back, as the opposite obviously is very, very cheap. So you have the ability to do that. But B puts the Arshiru in the archery range as well. Going to be pumping out those Yumi Ashigaru. I'm pretty sure it's every 5 seconds, Cal, every 5 or 6 seconds for Yumi. So they come out essentially in the blink of an eye, while Vortex is trying to use the counter and get a Mangonel. Yeah, 5-second Yumi Ashigaru. You can get, what is it? The 15 of those, 13 or something like that in a minute. It's wild.
Now, what I'm a little bit worried about here is Vortex's ability to actually push through. I know he went for Eco Wing here, and it doesn't look like he's using any of those benefits of the Eco Wing, because he's going full on military. He got boot camp. He looks like he wants to push. And honestly, this is so Vortex. He can play the long game, or he can just zug, go straight to the base and end B's career. Now, B does have quite a steady income, but keeping in mind most of those are from fishing ships, it will run out eventually. Not soon, but eventually. So he does have to be a little bit careful here. Now, Vortex does make a pretty heavy push here with Spearmen to protect those Mangonels, but with 17 mounted samurais, I honestly feel like those Mangonels are exposed anyway.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you're going to be using those spearmen to create body blocks. And that's kind of what Vortex is doing, right? Look how closely he's putting those spearmen by the Mangonel. And now he doesn't see any kind of immediate danger, so he's going to try to get some torches in. We're going to see if B might be able to get a little bit of a flank, but he's doing more of the raiding variety. You can see them in the picture-in-picture over there on the south part. He's looking for that Abbasid wood line, and he might get that one pretty quickly, but he's got a very dangerous immediate threat in the front of his base. There's a lot of Yumi that could take down some of these spears. No Bannerman, no Steeled Arrow even for them. So those Yumi aren't really doing too much. They're really only going to do a lot of damage against those spearmen. Mounted Samurai trying to get that on those top Mangonels. Vortex isn't paying attention because of his wood line, and a couple Mangonels go down.
And that's the problem when you're playing against mounted samurais. They're so versatile, they're so fast, and you look away for 1 second and everything is dead. Now, these guys definitely got their value here in the base. More villagers look like they're in danger. Wheelbarrow just making sure they're running like they have shoes from Ferrari. But Adidas in shambles right now. They really want to catch up to this, but unfortunately, 4 legs were not better than 2 with those spearmen ready to protect them. Now, the Mangonel doing amazing work, but still being a little bit exposed. And he's going to need to turn around, but he's looking at the back of his base and he's going to lose that mangonel again. And this is just a problem with being overwhelmed. B is the master of multitasking these days, and I don't know if Vortex underestimated this.
How frustrating is that, man? Like, 3 mangonels go down because you're consistently being raided, right? And it just goes to show how important it is to split your opponent into 2 different points of interest at least, right? Where you're doing a raid on one side, make sure you're doing something pivotal somewhere else. And that's exactly what B did to take down all of those mangonels. That's a lot of resources that go down essentially into kindling. And he's continuing to take down villagers. Women, look at that eco count, 71 to 44. And B's army value is almost double.
We were talking about how this was pretty even earlier, but it shows you, oh, goodbye, little ships. Your
They're gone.
population space. Yeah, just like that. And he's still 30 villages ahead. So, unfortunately, I think this is going to get worse and worse because Vortex doesn't look to be he's not doing anything that will actually keep this game even. He doesn't have walls up. He's just taking these raids constantly from B, and B is going to go back in. There's still a few villages on those berries that he can snack on. These boys barely making it there through the river, but he just keeps Vortex's army busy, and that poor little Dow never got his value, never got through the wall, and we see another dead villager on the ground there. B is just doing an amazing job at taking control of this game and keeping the lead.
Yeah, I mean, it's just continuously harassing, right? These Mount Samurai are going to finally go down just because of the crossbowmen. Just about half of them are going to end up going down. But a lot of Vortex's force here that you've seen, I mean, the military count is relatively equal, but a lot of the force that you've seen here have just been chasing Mounted Samurai around the map. And now we might hit another clash as B decides to run away. He needs those Yumi to try to help him out. They're going to be good against Spearmen, good against those crossbowmen, but Mangonels with a pretty good shot. Yumi don't have as much health, so they're pretty susceptible to those mangoes. Let's see if B's going to be able to back up, split those things up, but Vortex doing a very good job of that. Mounted Samurai actually cleared the Castle Age Spearman, trying to split down those Yumi as best as he can, but this is an overwhelmingly convincing win for B in this one. Look at the way he's splitting those Yumi. So very good. The units are starting to trail in from the south side, but it just doesn't matter. B's going to take this pivotal game 3 and take the lead.
This is just the situation you get yourself into when you look away for a second, and that's exactly what happened here. The man looked away for a moment, and all of his villagers, all of his mangoes, everything was just dying. It looked pretty good for Vortex. As we can see here with the statistics, he was doing okay for a lot of this. He had that military lead. He was answering to these mounted samurais perfectly well. And then B just did the multitasking manner of destroying him. And that's just what B does best. We can see B's APM also a little bit higher here. We can imagine that with all the horse micro he had to do, but also gathering a lot more resources and just being dominant in this game.
And like you know how frustrating that is too, because this is obviously I don't have the APM of these guys, so how frustrating it is when you're focused on one thing and then you look back at your initial point of interest and all of a sudden everything that you're doing is just essentially gone to garbage. Like it's so frustrating to deal with, and that's probably one of the things that ends up tilting me the most because it's your
Mhm.
mistake, right? You weren't vigilant enough, so it ended up costing you. So let's see if Vortex can kind of put the pieces back together. He's been a professional player for almost as long as I've been alive, I would imagine. So he's going to be playing as the Roos in game number 4. B going to be playing as the Ottomans. First Ottoman pick that we've seen today.
I feel like a lot of the hope of Beastie and his team definitely rests on Vortex.
Yeah, and I mean, it just goes to show how much practice you need in a game like this or RTS in general to be one of the best of the best, right?
Hmm.
Because Vortex is continuing to do RTS games. I know he's doing Age of Mythology also, but doing it full time, right? Loose Front, from my understanding, is not. You can correct me in chat if I am incorrect. But because of that lack of practice, right? People
Hmm.
are not putting all of the eggs in the Lucifron basket. They put them in the Vortex basket instead. Obviously, they're both fantastic players. Obviously, both of them can beat the hell out of both of us, probably combined in a 2v1 situation. So let's see what he does against a B in game number 4, somebody who has been doing some AoE practice. Jump on in, get yourself a Steel Series Alias microphone. We're jumping on in to game number 4. Vortex playing as the Roos in the western side of the map, going with a double hunting cabin start, and B going with the Ottomans in the color orange, going to be getting that military school very quickly. So against Rus or against a lot of civs, I'm not sure how much experience you have as Ottomans, but this military school start, what do you think about it?
Well, as I've been coached by Voldemort and Ottomans, and I feel like the poor man had trauma after that because it is just such a difficult civilization to play. I think the military school opening allows you to start building that tempo because Rus takes a while to get their first unit out. So you're already going to get into a position with spearmen, like Cow is pointing out now. Those spearmen will be able to torch those little bit of, what are they called again? Hunting cabins. There we go. Word. Thank you, Word, for joining me today. So B is getting that tempo, and even though he doesn't need to do direct damage with those, he causes that little bit of trouble on the map, and it will force Vortex to eventually react to it. And he doesn't allow Roos to just sit back, relax, and not worry about anything.
Yeah, I mean, even where they're positioned, right? That's an excellent point because he went for the 2 hunting cabin start, and that seems to be the meta for Roos nowadays. He goes for the double hunting cabin start, but that hunting cabin on the western side might be a little bit far out there. The thing of it is, because B goes for the military school, right? You send 5 villagers on the stone, all that kind of stuff. You're going to be a little bit slower than you might want to be when you're aging up to feudal anyway. So you don't see a second scout out of B. And the Ottomans, I kind of lump them in a similar fashion as a China or a Zhu Xi or something like that, where food might become a problem later down the road. Their food transitions, even though they get twin minaret, you can only put 4 villagers on it. So they usually go out to get some food. If they don't get a lot of sheep here, B could be on a back foot. People talk about, how important it is for army compositions and, what you do, you fast castle, do you boom, do you whatever. But sometimes it comes down to just get enough sheep, man.
Just get enough sheep. Come on, it's so easy. Just do it. Yes, Tim. Now, the thing is, you might say, and oh, Golden Gate gets dropped down, so we're probably going to be seeing our fast castle coming out from Mr. Vortex here. But what I wanted to point out about some meta, and I was about to say this, but then the Golden Gate came out, and I feel like my meta talk has no place. But professional scouts has been very, very common. And now we're seeing Sultani Trade Network. It is just crazy all around because I feel like with the Sultani Trade Network, you do get that passive gold without doing anything. You just let it do its own thing, and you're able to go ahead, do what you want to do, keep going for that fast castle if you wanted to, or you could just fight in feudal. But with the Golden Gate coming, I don't think there's going to be any feudal fights.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Sultani Trade Network is it's going to try to compete with the Golden Gate, right? The Golden Gate is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, landmark in the game because of the ability to fix your macro, fix your resource management very quickly, and you also get a bonus in doing that, right? It's going to help you get professional scouts. Also, for Vortex, getting all of those deer and kiting them around is going to be very important. He's creating a little bit of problems because that spearman in Dark Age for the Ottomans usually doesn't create a lot of havoc. It just ends up trying to kite deer so you don't have food problems later down the road. Vortex making sure that doesn't happen. Deer's getting scattered pretty much everywhere. So at the 4-minute mark, Golden Gate comes up, going to get a lumber camp. Where's he going to use that first ticket? And where or how soon is he going to get professional scouts? Because B is going to be trailing him to Castle Age pretty quickly.
Oh, that's the problem with the Sultani Trade Network. They do have that ability, but I feel like with 230 gold already, you're barely going to get a chance for that Sultani Trade Network to kick in. He's just going to be able to get that so quickly. Professional scouts now being clicked up, taking a minute to upgrade. It's going to take a while, and with the spearmen being all around the map, it's not going to be that easy to just pick them up. But now, see all that pressure you have just with that 2 spearmen. You are not going to get those deer for free. You have to keep in mind that's going to be a little bit harder going forward. Now, B, he has that 3 villager lead, not a villager, but because of the landmark. So he does get those passive resources, but now almost on 400 gold. I'm wondering what he's going to be doing with that.
You know,
Oh,
I was very curious as well, and then I saw him build a mill with 5 or 6 villagers. I was expecting him to hit the pro scout button as well, and it looks
Ooh.
like that's exactly what he's doing because pro scouts, it's expensive. 275 gold. What's nice for Roos is because of the bounty, if you get one deer pack back to your base, it ends up paying for itself, even not even regarding the food. So you're able to get that gold back. For the Ottomans, it's just going to help to make sure that his food is going to be okay because once Castle Age hits for Vortex, I have a feeling he's going to get there a little bit quicker. Once Castle Age hits, he is not going to have any of that map control. But Vortex trying to get a little bit cheeky when it comes to the feudal age, adding a couple archers, maybe just trying to make sure that his scouts are safe. Oh, a stable
Now,
too. How about that?
yeah, he's gonna double down here, and we can see he's also stealing some deer from the side of B because he was waiting and he sees that they've been pushing them back, so he yoinked, I believe, 2 of them. Yeah, and he's yoinking them, pulling them back. So even though B is gonna get professional scouts, his deer have kind of been yoinked, so he's not getting that same value. And just like you said, with Bruce getting the bounty, it's already not the same value. But you can see the vizier point has been clicked, and he gets a bunch of sheep. So maybe he's okay with this feudal fight that's about to go down, especially with those archers. And now the first knighting queue from Vortex, we see the stable being dropped down. So Sapahi's going to be joining the fight. You need those Sapahis to deal with these archers. So Vortex needs to be careful not to overextend like he did last game.
Yeah, you see for B2, the Anatolian Hills, the one that gives you the sheep, it's 10 sheep now. It used to be 8. The Anatolian Hills is usually the number one to help you with food, and especially if you are going to go for some kind of castle age, I guess you're going to have the ability to do that. But B has to put a lot of resources, has to put a lot of villagers into wood because of all the production that he needs. Not necessarily military schools. For the Ottomans, it's a little bit cheaper. It's 100 wood to get some of those military production buildings, including your blacksmith. However, you still need a lot of villagers to do that. So it looks like B maybe was trying to go this castle route. He saw some aggression, and then he's like, okay, let's not get too greedy. Vortex is like, I'm going to push you. You better have something.
Now, I do feel like both of them are trying to take control, but at the same time, Vortex is just in so much of a lead because of having those knights and having those early archers. I feel like B just didn't scout them in time. That may have been quite a little bit of a doozy here.
It's going to be only, 3 wins for one team, 2 wins for the other. So it's not going to be too much of a discrepancy. This has the potential to, and we're going to see if Vortex does have the ability, if he wants to remain aggressive. However, I'm seeing a lot of stockpile of resources. This looks like kind of a fake. I got baited. I don't know if you got baited, but I thought
You got
Vortex was
better.
going to start making, yeah, because he got a stable, he got an archery range, he got all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, he's like, you know what? Just forget it. I'll see you in Castle, brother.
And I feel like this is the right answer dealing with Sabais. Sabais are pretty good, but not that great against knights, of course. But imagine fighting against Castle Age knights. That's going to be a whole different ballgame. These archers doing the work they can, pushing his back a little bit. Sabais being a bit scared of those arrows firing at them, but the high trade house being dropped. And it shouldn't be in too much of a juicy spot as, this is Lipany. It's not the craziest wood map out there, but it's going to allow him to get those extra deer and again that extra bounty that you need as a Rus to just stay ahead. I don't even know if did he get any. Okay, I was going to ask, did he get any gold himself, or has this all been from the bounty?
And I mean, you understand, he does have a couple of villagers there, I did see, but you understand just based on the bounty system, why Fast Castle works better than it used to, right? Vortex's bounty is 412. He got handed 400 gold for free. Yeah, his castle age is going to be pretty high. Yeah, he's going to be able to make a couple units. Hunting cabin with a little bit of trickle as well. That high trade house probably looking like, I don't know, maybe like 120, something like that per minute, 115-ish, depending. So he's going to have a little bit of gold there. There's a lot of passivity that Roos has in terms of economy that I feel like a lot of people don't fully yet grasp. They think about wood economy, they think about, getting hunt and how bounty is important, but the actual scale of it, the magnitude, can really set the tone. And now with the Vortex going into Castle, he's going to be the first one by a wide margin. What is his play now? He's getting his veteran status for the archers and knights, but do you mix in other things?
I feel like he might not need to for now, but with the Sapahi numbers, it does feel a little scary. He might need a few more knights to offset those Sapahi numbers to protect those archers, and he needs to target fire perfectly. Even though there's just 3 spearmen, they can do some damage to those knights. But you want to take the fight the moment your opponent is at their weakest, and that's going to be when they're trying to macro up to castle. And I feel like that's exactly what B is thinking about. You can see he's floating quite a bit of food as well. He's producing the supply. Oh, he queued up a bunch more. He listened to me. He's like, I should probably make more units. So this is probably where he's going to be at his weakest, when you have all your upgrades and your opponent is desperately trying to get to castle himself.
Yeah, and I think Vortex knows that B has to come back, right? He can't be on that offensive because he's going to be throwing a bunch of feudal age units in. So Vortex has the ability to go and exploit the resources that the map gives you, and that comes with starting to get relics. So Monastery came in, and a Warrior Monk is going to be there as well. Knights trying to chase down Sipahi, not quite as fast because of the Hemi armor they got. And the Meta playing in the key of G, going to be able to help those Sipahi with a little bit of attack speed if a fight does end up happening. But again, you're facing a technologically superior army when you're playing against Vortex and these knights. So maybe you might not want to take too big of a fight, or you could end up on the back foot.
Is with those amount of supply, you're perfectly okay with those 4 knights, right? But the archers are here to support. And the thing is, what I'm concerned about now is B going to let Vortex get all these relics? Because now we see he's got one. There's one more queued up into the base. So if B allows him to get this edge, we know Ottomans is great, but this is going to put him so far in the lead. This hunting cabin just ticking as well, getting that free gold, and he's finally getting some military upgrades. That's what I've been missing here, especially with those archers. You have quite a bit of archers. If you want to kill Sipahis, you're probably going to need +1 or even +2 here.
Yeah, and I think you'd be surprised, even though, obviously Sipahi and Horsemen are the counter to archers, when you have that technological discrepancy, the archers don't do too bad. If you have just a normal archer, their base damage 7+2 with the Castle Age, +2 ranged armor. So if you have enough of them, right, you might be able to take down some of these. But the amount of Sipahi that he has got 20 in the queue, and this is showing the economic prowess of the Ottoman Empire, because their prowess doesn't come from getting more resources like the Rus does. The Ottomans come from getting free units, so it's using the resources kind of automatically into picking what you do. So it's a very interesting dynamic. Both of them have this economic prowess, but in different ways.
Yeah, the problem is now the economic prowess that we're going to see here is going to be not that important when you're literally being invaded by all these knights at the right time. We know the Ottomans, they were known for their brute force and great army tactics, but right now, I feel like this is a really weak point for B, because he doesn't have the gold to get all the upgrades either. He's going to age up. He does have the passive gold income coming for him, but what then? So this is going to be a really tough point for him to get through, to get those upgrades and actually do something against this heavy army from Vortex. And Vortex's army is really scary. He's getting Wheelbarrow himself now, +2. And desperately is B. He's just trying to get a little bit of gold so he can get those upgrades. He's not at 250, but he did get that extra bit popping in just now.
Yeah, and I think for Vortex, I feel like it's his time to strike, right? Although he's backing up with some of his units now, you're going to be dealing with a lot of feudal age units, and I know the archers are going to be coming in. He'll probably try to get Castle Age, or veteran Sipahi, I should say, better. The MIA is going to be adding a little bit of siege superiority. And it's really interesting because I remember Ottomans from seasons of old, and it just kind of reflexes you to make Springolds, right? Because they were the anti-siege. Now, not so much. You might be able to take down those mangonels just with knights or with even archers. So we'll see if that comes to be in play. Sipahi going to be making up the front line here. Knights make up the front as well. Crossbowmen trying to come in from B, but the knights are really hanging out, making that little bit of a choke point over there on the south side. There's a couple knights on the west and the east as well. And as long as you're able to thin out those numbers, because veteran Sipahi has not come in yet, if you're able to thin out those numbers with those knights, this could be a very advantageous fight for Vortex, and it's looking like it resoundingly is.
Yeah, this is definitely going Vortex's way. We can see that graph being very blue at the moment. And unfortunately, the timing was perfect. B he took the fight. I don't think he had a choice, though. He took this fight and he was like, okay, this is maybe okay because I have the TC firing away, but Vortex target firing every single spearman, everything that could take him down, but now counter it. Oh, I was going to say counterattack, but no, just attack. Vortex is back. He's trying to get more kills, and I want you guys again to notice how many dead villagers there were this game, because this is absolutely insane. No dead villagers, but the game gets called because with no army, those villagers were next in line, and that just shows you when the pros do it, they know what to focus. They know villagers don't kill military, but military kill military. And this is something that I heard when I can't even remember who was coaching me. I think it was Valdemar. He was like, just focus down the longbows, focus down the archers. They're the things that cause the damage. And we can see that here at a top level game. Vortex now scoring another point for BC's team. And this is starting to look quite scary for Puppypaw's side. Now, B, he's gotten more resources here, right? It looks like he's doing pretty well. I feel like there's a little bit of a bug here, though, because
I
the
think
gold.
so.
Yeah, never mind. It's back. Okay, never mind. Vortex in the lead.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Destruction all around. And just like that, Vortex takes the W for BC's team. Now, there's one more point in this match to go. Tim, how you feeling, sir?
This is wild. I mean, we're seeing a lot of. I mean, I know it's a play all 5, but whether it was play all 5 or best of 5, I don't think it would have mattered because we're seeing a lot of 3-2s, right? So very good because of the way this tournament is set up. A big shout out to my co-caster for helping set it up. But the way that this is set up is because you have these players that are very equal in ATR, in player skill, and you're going to see it doesn't matter what portion of skill level they are, right? It could be, the 40th one against the 35th or the 8th against the 7th or whatever the case is. They're so equal that all of these series are going to be fantastic, right? And they have been so far. We saw the Dragovon Corvinus series that was fantastic. This Vortex and B series is going to go to game 5 and call it a close. Kiljardi is the only one who proved to be a little bit better than his overall projected, right? And hit that 4-1. So that could tell the tale. That could be the sign to get the team of it's Beastie, right? To get into that next round.
Yes, exactly. And I think now with Vortex securing that second point, I see our scores are a little bit busted here in front of us. But guys, don't worry, my voice will guide you. So I want to just give you guys an update on the Dragovan Corvinus game as well. Corvinus ended up taking that final point. Oh, here we go. Thank you very much, Mr. Producer Cal. We can see Dragovan getting 2 games off of Corvinus, which is not something to scoff at. This is amazing. Dragovan is pretty new on the scene and he's emerging. But he had to adapt because his civilizations were banned, and the adaptation looked pretty decent. The comeback mechanics, amazing. Kiljardi, not getting any coaching from Beastie, and Cat, I also believe, did not get any coaching from Puppy. So these two just played their best game, and Kiljardi was dominant. Core taking the first game from Gully, though, that is going to be a pretty interesting matchup to see.
I think this one's going to go down to the wire, Whamen. I mean, we're taking a look at the scores now. If I'm just totaling them up, the team of Beastyqt has 8. The team of Puppypaw has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right now. So Kiljardi obviously becoming that MVP on the side of Beastie, but the games are neck and neck. There's no 5-0 like we're seeing on the other side. There were some 4-1s, there were some 5-0. Not the case here. And I recommend for probably the 12th time, you get yourself a SteelSeries A-list microphone so you can sound as good as we do in the booth. Coming in with the Vortex, playing in the South, the color blue, as the Japanese B going to be the Ayubids. And I feel like we've seen this matchup before. It was on Candle, right? But on this map, on Scandinavia, it might be a little different.
Now, that's what I absolutely love about Scandinavia as well. It has a similar aspect to Cannel, where it can go both ways. You go for water, the other person doesn't, and then you have feudal pressure. But again, both of these players, just like they did on Cannel. Oh, wait. This might have been a different matchup. But they both go for water and on the same side. So we'll be seeing some action here on the water side. B, not having any crazy shenanigans, but I think the key here comes. Who starts aging up first, and how many fishing ships are we going to commit to? I feel like with Japanese, because your fishing ships are so much cheaper, you're probably going to be able to get a little bit further. But B is going for quite a lot of wood. We can see that he just queued up his first fishing ship as well as the wood slowly started disappearing. Now, Vortex, he's playing Japanese, and we know how well Japanese does on this because, as you guys know, they've got those Shinobis. So Vortex being the right player to put with Shinobis because he can multitask.
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of people when they talk about water and they talk about the APM that you need on water, the micro on water, a lot of people think the Spanish brethren of Vortex and Lucifron are one of the best, if not the best, in order to do that. So I want to give the edge to Vortex. I know that Japanese and Iabids both are pretty good water civilizations. Obviously, they come with their own niche, but we'll see who's going to be able to do it. Now, Corvinus, we saw Iabids play on water, on Candle. I really like how we're sticking to that bit, by the way, and we're not calling it what it actually is. But the the Iabids could go into Culture Wing and get that really early feudal age and set the tone, and that seemed to work pretty well for Corvinus in that game.
Yeah, I think when we're looking at this matchup, there's always that question of is it just up to the micro or are we just going to be seeing the water battle? And Vortex is known for this water battle, right? So if this goes to water, Vortex, we've got our money on Vortex. But if it goes on land with Beast multitasking, we saw Vortex fall flat to those samurais. So will the same happen with Lancers if we get to that point? So I don't know. I'm really excited to see what Vortex can pull out here. But B now getting close to aging up already. And we can see, he has a lot of choices here. I think this choice from B is definitely going to dictate what the game starts looking like. So Cal, keep an eye on that House of Wisdom. We're about to see some shenanigans. Cal's trying to say, hey, maybe we're going to go for industry. I don't know, Cal. My
Oh,
money's...
what a call! Oh my
What?
god, Cow, he's insane. Yeah, he does. He goes for a little. Sorry, I got too excited. The 350 wood that you get out of this could be pretty important. You know, a lot of times for the Iabids on land, maybe you get that 350 or you get it in Castle Age to try to get a town center or something like that. But on water, not so much, right? You might be able to take some villagers off of wood, maybe put them somewhere else, and that 350 could be used to do something. Or just to make sure that you could have maybe a dock on the other side. There's a lot of flexibility that you gather with this. And this tempo is so important in the beginning of this game when you really want to set the tone on water.
Now, what I think almost happened here is maybe with Vortex not looking at the scout because he already had that "you're under attack" alert, right? Not knowing that the scout instantly went there. This is either perfection by Vortex. Oh, but look at that. There's a wolf there. Never mind. The wolf doesn't get triggered. I almost got a little bit too excited. I keep forgetting that's only with units. Scouts, you will live another day. But that villager is quite low, and getting a Coca Township out here is going to be a destruction in that case. But the wood is going to come through pretty soon, and I think we're going to get some spicy ships out on here. And we see another bit of pressure coming out here from the villager. And that villager is taking a lot of damage now. The second villager gets pulled. The scout in shambles still, but the villager is still being quite aggressive. The scout attacking the villager one more time, trying to get a hit. Every slash counts, and the scout is trying to body block. Amazing micro by Vortex, but he might scout. No, he doesn't. He's perfect. He's Vortex. God damn it.
Just just that little bit of micro helps you get an edge in a game like this, in a pivotal game 5. That House of Wisdom coming of Coca was just a little bit earlier, obviously, so he will be able to get Shinobi, but with the 350 wood, he's able to get a couple docks, he's able to get his rock and his paper and his scissors, whatever he needs, and he can also get teak masts, as you see is unique to the Iabids. So, with that wood giving him that little bit of flexibility, maybe it's going to help him out. Coca Township, for the Shinobi, he's like, hey, you got 3 docks. Maybe you won't be able to sabotage all of them. So why don't I just flood you with docks and see what happens? Pun very much intended.
And he keeps putting down those docks, just as you said. It is insane. He stops that ship coming out with the Shinobi. And now we can see the wolf is on the side of Vortex, helping kill that villager building the dock. The dock has taken a little bit of damage as well, but I don't think we're going to be seeing a cancel out of this too soon. The ships do get to come out, but now Vortex has kind of caught up. He's getting spring ult ships here, and the Shinobi has stopped that dock from producing anymore as well. Now, the ships are being pulled to the side there. He's trying to keep them alive so that this can pay off, but it feels like Vortex, the Master of Water, is just showing us exactly how this matchup is played.
That was such a good timing for that Shinobi. Whamen, as that one just got sabotaged. Whoa!
Oh.
Okay. Well,
Never mind.
Vortex's fishing is gone. Or will be gone very soon. But getting that sabotage on that dock means that Bagla had 2 seconds left. Now it's perpetually getting built, essentially, and it will be built, I would imagine, at some time. So Vortex is going to be able to delay a little bit of that, but that fishing economy is not there anymore. And that is very important. You might have to allocate some villagers onto food, and Vortex is actually putting a dock on the other side as well. Gets a nice demo hit on a couple Boglaws. B's not paying attention. Got to use those fishing boats to repair, and a demo ship's going to be coming in as well, but Vortex sees it perfectly. B doing a little bit of dodge, trying to make sure that demo ship stays alive, and will continue to do so just to make sure that he has a little bit of firepower on this pond, because we all know, we talked about it, how important those demo ships are. Speaking of, there's another one, and that Boglaw's down too.
And it just shows you exactly how a demo ship can change this damn game. The fishing boats going down from both sides. Be a little bit ahead economically right now, but invested so much into those docks. And I don't know if he's gotten the full value he needs when sacrificing so much from not getting the usual age ups. So we'll see if he keeps committing to this side, but we do see Vortex docking on the other side as well, trying to capitalize on a little bit of water, not wanting to put everything out on this side.
And if you don't scout this from Vortex on that side, if you don't scout this and Vortex is able to just continuously get fishing boats here, we're going to see Vortex come out largely ahead as another explosive Dow comes in. Not going to get there as the dock ends up going down. But you got to remember, for the Japanese, the fishing boats don't cost as much wood, right? It's 49 wood, if I remember correctly. So he's going to be able to make fishing boats at 45, excuse me. He's going to be able to make fishing boats while getting his navy on the western side as well. Demo ship coming in, taking down one of the Springald ships from the Japanese, but Vortex will be closely following with a demo ship of his own. That Bogla will be going down very quickly, and it does. So this is a lot of cat and mouse, right? This is a lot of, I got your counter, you got my counter, and we just keep going back and forth. But this delays water from both sides on the west.
Yeah, I can imagine both of these players are really questioning, okay, do I commit to this? I feel like B's questioning this a lot more, but he might realize, okay, I'm getting 2 more demos, and maybe this is going to be what I need. And one of them gets cancelled because of Shinobis and because of wonderful ships, but I don't know if B knows what's going on Vortex's side. On Vortex's side, we are, on the other part of the lake, he's just snacking away. He's living his best life. He's getting what he needs. He's getting some fishing ships going. And like you said, those fishing ships are cheaper. He's going to build that second dock. A scout tried to point it out to us a little bit earlier, but I just completely ignored. And this will allow him to take a little bit more control as well, because on the other side, that fishing is just for free. Nothing is being done about it.
And, people talk about having a hybrid map like this and why it's important to have water and establish water. It's because all of those fishing boats, it kind of acts like another town center. All of those fishing boats means you don't have to allocate your villagers, your land villagers, on food. You can put them somewhere else. And we're going to see Vortex, if he does end up snowballing that, he could end up getting to Castle Age quicker, he could end up getting a landmass quicker, and this can really turn into a problem. So while he's doing that, he's able to maintain a little bit of control on this western side, right? He's got some demos, he's got a couple Springald ships, but also is going to be using Shinobi for land, and that's what's so good about the Coca. You could use it to sabotage a dock, or you could get in there and kill some villagers, and he did. He got a couple on that gold mine.
And again, with those demo ships, you're just putting so much control. It didn't land too well there, but still, you're just keeping the attention split, and those Shinobis get to do some amazing work there on the vills. I believe they got 3 villagers down there, and that is such a massive pickup, because as you said, the fishing boats are just so that you can allocate your villagers elsewhere. They're not as great as villagers, because villagers are quite diverse, But these Shinobis causing a lot of idle time, they will go down on the map, and remember, when we said Vortex is the right guy to try and manage Shinobis, he does make another beautiful hit, while B is probably distracted by those Shinobis in his base. And Vortex, looking quite commanding right now. We see him macroing up to Castle Age, and guys, you know what happens when Castle comes.
Oh, yeah. It's probably going to be Mounted Samurai time, I would imagine. And for how much food did you get from those boats, it makes it pretty easy to do so. Being able to maintain this and do this cat and mouse game obviously favors Vortex. I'm really surprised that B did not scout this. And even if he did, he would have to get a dock up. He would have to get boats. He would have to get all of this kind of stuff. And it would prove to be rather challenging. Now, in this regard, Vortex still hanging out. He's having a military advantage. He's going to be able to maybe get a demo contact, but it ended up becoming null and void. You could use some of that stone as well. We talked about it in a previous Japanese game, getting some naval arrow slits to make sure B doesn't completely take you over here.
So what I absolutely love about this is we can see the quality of the water fight. We can see how beautiful these boats are being microed. And that's the beauty of watching B and Vortex play. These players are just so damn precise. Nothing they do is without reason. These villagers are standing a little bit early. I say that as I give them all the compliments. Ready? Oh, Temple of Equality. Okay, he did that on purpose, guys. He just wanted to bamboozle us. But now the floating gate is going to be floating into the base. And B, with a lot more units on water, he might be able to secure water here. But Vortex doesn't want to tell him that he's going to do so. So he has to make sure to make this water fight look convincing and try to get B to invest even more on this side. Because even if he does, that's just going to mean so many resources invested on this water, giving B that confidence. But then you start running in with us mounted samurai, and things get very hairy very quickly.
Honestly, Whamen, you nailed that. Because with Vortex putting 16 on the gate, B's going to see the Castle H hit from Vortex and be like, oh, I was not expecting that because of how much ships are out here. Military lead obviously in favor of B just because he's been pumping all of his resources in. So maybe he feels like it's his time to take water. He takes water, he takes the game, but he still doesn't know about that east side, and that's going to be a problem for him. Mounted Samurai are going to be able to come in here, maybe take down some of the docks, be doing a heads-up display as while he's winning water, and will be able to do so. Going to be able to wall around the south side of his base in between those two wood lines because he does not have the military mass to deal with Mounted Samurai. He has a stable. He's got his first Desert Raider in the queue, but he needs fishing boats, and he needs them now if he's going to pump some out, if he's going to pump some Desert Raiders out.
The problem with Desert Raiders are you need them in mass to deal with those Mounted Samurais. And I see a Mounted Samurai already sneaking by, going straight to the gold. But what I want to point out about this water fight is that Vortex didn't let these ships go to waste. He still microed them as well as he could, and he got a beautiful demo shot off. He got one of the demos from B as well to make sure that he doesn't get too confident on this water. Vortex is the kind of guy who would then go and invest another dock onto water and make sure to cause that havoc even more. You see another galley there. That ship's long dead, but it's still doing amazing work. You can see there as well the arrow slits from the dock taking down one of the ships. Look at those Mounted Samurais being quite scary. The fifth one now being in queue and +1 coming in, so they will not be taking too much damage here.
And look at B's resources. He didn't get Castle Age, as you saw Cal went over the House of Wisdom just to make 100% sure. He is nowhere near this. You know, his food per minute, almost about 400. Vortex sitting on about 1,000, just because of that dock. He has a little bit of villagers on the deer as well with the farmhouse over there. So he's going to work on getting his gold. He's going to work on getting his upgrades to make sure he can continuously pump out Mounted Samurai. But his gold's there. His food is there. There's nothing stopping him from making as many samurai as he wants.
And what I love about Vortex on Japanese, he's going for those relics instantly. He's not waiting. You can see one already in the base, and that just gives him that little bit of an edge already as well. The Desert Raider trade, not a trade you want to be making. You want to make sure that you trade those perfectly. You need to micro them the whole time. But only B can pull that off, but he needs to do it perfectly to be able to survive this. You can now see B is trying to wall off, just trying to get a little bit of control in his base, but with the Mounted Samurai numbers being at 8 and those Yumis coming in, I think this is going to be a really tough one for him to hold.
Yeah, I mean, B has got to delay. He's got to stall. And that gold over on the northeastern side of his base doesn't prove to be a very defensible one. He does have an outpost there. He's going to take some feudal Desert Raiders to try to get some damage in. They're using their ranged attack to try to help, and then switching over, pulling out their swords. The problem is, for Feudal Age, they're just not going to do enough. The only thing those Desert Raiders are doing before they die is taking off deflection. And then in another 8 seconds, that deflection comes back if they don't get hit. So he's continuously going to be able to take down these Desert Raider numbers. And then B is in the catch-22 of, if I don't make Desert Raiders, I die. But if I keep making Desert Raiders in fetal age, I also die. So he's in a rock and a hard place.
Exactly, and it doesn't look like he's going to get a safe gold anytime soon. He is on a forward gold at the moment, trying to get that done, but that's not safe, especially with the Yuumi now being added to this. He's just going to be able to swing around and try to attack from another side as well. So for now, they're going to be able to get some gold, but for how long? Until those archers are just going to place themselves perfectly around.
Yeah, and I think Vortex knows that he might not be able to stop B with food economy because now I've been starting to get those fishing boats over there on the western side of Scandinavia, but he's going to be able to stop that gold. And for how many samurai he has, for how quickly they come out, for how quickly they get to the opposite side of the map, he's going to be able to delay this as much as he can. He does have those villagers on the south side, but he's going to need a lot more if he wants to pump out Desert Raiders while trying to get up to Castle Age. And now B is going to try to take this fight. I don't like the look of this with some Yuumi and a Bannerman helping him out as well. Those Desert Raiders go down very quickly, and so does B in this 5-gamer. Vortex taking it 3-2.
And this was amazing work by Vortex. I think Vortex really showed us what needs to happen to take down the likes of B. Because B, an amazingly fast player, someone who can adjust, who can be spicy, but Vortex, he knows how to react, he knows how to read the game, and he gets 3 points for Beasty's team, while B scoring 2 on Puppypaw's side, which is honestly pretty amazing. So Puppypaw and Beasty's team, they're mere points apart, and the score is still neck and neck. And right now, I believe that both of these teams should be tied for 3rd place already. So this does look like yesterday's team, who on Wham's side, who fell against MarineLord, will not be taking that 3rd place because these boys, they're working hard for these points and they're doing an amazing job at it.